I gotta talk to you.
You won't let go of it, will you?
I saw what I saw.
Psychotics are more active when the moon is full. And this guy's a psycho. When they catch him, you're gonna find out he's just as human as you and me. You have got to get this idea out of your head. There are no such things as werewolves.
The Bible tells us to fear the terror of the beast.
I am scared to death.
What are we gonna do? I think I know. I want you to turn this into a silver bullet.
Heck, you're gonna shoot a .44 bullet at anyway. Ain't out of silver.
How about a werewolf?
The moon is full. You better watch it.
I think he's going to come after me.
Are you ready?
You see how all things serve the will and the mind of God. You see, you meddling little
Help me, please! He's out there! I saw him!
Welcome everybody to the Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Miles, and I'm joined as always by Tim Johnson, Josh Lambert, and we have special guests tonight. Guest commentators and co-hosts with us tonight, we have Aaron and Jamie Peerless. How you guys doing?
Yay!
Excellent. For those who remember, a little while ago we had Aaron on the show doing a live episode with us, and we asked him to come back and do an actual recording episode, and we said, hey, we want, Jamie, because she was going to do the live episode with us, and unfortunately she couldn't at the time. So it was like, come on, Jamie, let's do an episode. How you guys doing? Jamie? Yeah?
Good.
Okay.
I didn't have to make any soup tonight, so I'm free.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So, we're gonna get right down to the brass tacks on things here. We'll get you back on another show, and we'll do like a general roundtable questions and stuff like this, because we want to learn more. And people who are watching the show hopefully want to learn more too about Jamie and the amazing makeup that she does. And Aaron really talked highly of you the last episode too. So, we already got.
Thanks, Adam.
Don't mess that up.
So, but for tonight, we're going to jump right into things here. And the big thing that we wanted to do was bring some horror fans on with us and friends and review a movie together. So here's what we're going to do. Tim, what are we talking about tonight?
We are talking about the 1985 classic. Classic?
Classic.
Yeah, classic.
Classic.
Based on Stephen King, Silver Bullet.
Nice. Silver Bullet.
That's the movie.
Based on the book Cycle of the Werewolf. Based on,
Yes.
Was it a book? It was a novella, really, wasn't it? It was like a short.
It was, you want to know what? It's basically a graphic novel. I mean, yeah, it's got all the fucking words and shit, but like, it's about the size of a graphic novel.
That's awesome.
Nice. Cycle of the Werewolf.
It's got all the words in it, so.
Yep,
It's a book.
all the words. And
I
it's
only-
only 113 pages, 127 pages. 127 pages.
Nice. 127 pages.
What's it about, Tim?
Give us the synopsis, Tim.
It's pretty self-explanatory, but I will, to the people that don't know what it is. This movie takes place in the small town of Tarker's Mills, and it's a place that was very peaceful when basically nothing ever extraordinary ever happened until one night the murders began. Townspeople believe that it was some maniacal killer on the loose who intended to hunt down. Marty, a young handicapped boy, believes the killer was no killer or no man at all, but a werewolf. After the run-in with the werewolf, Marty and his sister Jane hunt all over the town for the man who is the... What is this? Anyways, Cycle of the Werewolf.
Jesus.
Cycle of the Werewolf. I know. Hey.
So there's a handicapped boy in a little town, probably in Maine, and there's a werewolf.
Yeah.
And
well, I said all that.
And people,
that's it.
And
Here we
people
go.
don't believe them, and it's one of those stories. Okay,
Yeah.
That's got to be like one of my favorite synopses that Tim's ever read, by the way. Just because, usually Adam's the one fucking things up, but tonight it's all about Tim.
Yeah, but you know what?
Wow, the
You want
night
to know
is
what
young,
the difference
Adam.
is, though? You want to know
What?
what the difference is? I owned up to it right away, and I still did it with fucking class.
Adam just goes in the corner and cries like a little bitch.
Adam's like, oh, I messed up.
Ooh, okay, never mind. Fuck off. Okay. So yes, the story is very nice, Tim, by the way. So story is, yes, little town, handicapped boy. He's got an electric or gas powered wheelchair, actually gas powered wheelchair done by his uncle, called the Silver Bullet, hence the name of the movie. And little town, Maine, the werewolf story that nobody believes, the boy who cried wolf situation that's going on. So this is a very iconic story from the Stephen King universe, because even though a lot of people have never read the novella, the actual movie itself is quite popular. It's one of those ones that, like, there are very few people who can honestly say, if you're a horror fan, that you've never seen Silver Bullet. And I was waiting for Josh to put up his fucking hand there, because this is why I love doing the show, because Josh tends to not see shit often, and it's like, we gotta watch this movie. Josh is like, never fucking seen it. Just gives us a good reason to come in here and start discussing things. So
One of the cool things, though, about this movie, it's not just based on Stephen King's Cycle of the Werewolf. He actually wrote the screenplay. So technically, it is a Stephen King written movie.
Written film.
one of the situations where he decided to take the world and the novella and expand it and kind of do more with it. Probably had the opportunity to do a couple things that he never did in the original story that he wanted to.
Did they have a play on words? Cycle of the Werewolf? And then they named his cycle Silver Bullet?
Mm.
Huh?
Mm.
You just blew Adam's mind. Look at his face.
Mm.
You just blew his mind.
Hey, I had to throw it out there. I had to throw it out there, Adam.
Fair enough. Okay. Okay, so let's jump right in. We're just going to start talking about characters, because the actual storyline is very straightforward. It's werewolf, as written by Stephen King. Once again, boy who cried wolf situation. So let's talk about the characters here for a couple minutes. So we have one of the Coreys, right?
The best.
Yeah, exactly. So
Oh.
for being inaugural to this episode, I'm going to hand it over to Jamie and Aaron. Talk a little bit about Corey in this movie. You just said it. The best Corey.
Corey Haim was awesome. He was kind of like a crush when I was a kid. I thought he was like the cat's meow, literally. Yeah. I had his pictures up on my wall and everything. I was in love. And then Corey Feldman killed him.
Whoa! This got fucking dark quick.
Yeah, that's right. I went there.
Wow.
I think he's talking more about character
okay, in the movie. All
That's
right.
a whole other show.
I was like, I didn't see that movie.
He was cute.
He's basically like a kid that is down on himself because this accident happened, or he was born like this. And you know, there's different parts where he's sitting on the edge of the ball field watching the kids play ball and things like that. And you kind of feel sorry for him, but he's leading the best life he possibly can with the help of his uncle. You know, with these chairs, the motorized, you know, the first motorized chair, and then he gets this really cool, elaborate new smoking three-wheeler, right? Both called the Silver Bullet, right?
Bullet and Silver Bullet Extreme by the friggin' looks of it.
Can we just take a moment to talk about how ripped this fucking kid must be?
Yeah.
He's climbing up and down his window, up on like gutters, climbing up in trees.
In and out of trees.
I was like, doesn't this kid's leg not work?
It's like I can't even get off the couch.
All in one.
I have the use of my legs.
He's a gymnast.
I think
Totally. But I mean, that's.
But he's got a big heart though for his, you know. I mean, him and his sister get along. You know, he's just got a big heart. He's a good kid. He's just trying to be like other kids and stuff, right? So, you know.
And then, boom, werewolf.
Bam. Or a hairy. Yeah.
One of the things that I noticed though is normally when they write like someone with a disability, like, you know, he obviously doesn't have use of his legs. Like, I mean, yeah, like he was like looking at like the other kids playing and stuff, but I don't remember hearing him at all complain. Like he was like, I don't know, like it was like this You're is. Right. He didn't complain about it, and normally in movies like that, there's always like at least one scene where it's like, oh well, I wish I was normal, and then the person he's talking to is, yo, you are normal, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so.
It's because the people that write that stuff never actually have been around somebody who has had any kind of disability, as you never really hear them complain that much about anything.
No.
They're tough.
Even when he was stuck at the covered bridge there. You know, you think he'd be like, damn legs, you know, or something like that, right? But he, you know, the Reverend comes in and he's about to bite it probably, and, you know, and then the farmer comes along and the Reverend takes off. So he didn't even curse his legs there, right?
You know what? That was the one scene in this movie where I knew what happened, but I still got tense. Like, oh my God, he's going to get him.
Yeah.
He's going to fucking get him.
It was good. It was a good setting, and to have the preacher, you know, coming on in, and you know, it's kind of a little bit tense and like you said, and kind of a little bit creepy the way that he's kind of walking in, and you can just barely hear everything going on, but the music starts to really kind of ride up your spine a little bit. It was pretty good that way. Marty Kozla, as it would be in the movie.
Really? I was calling him coleslaw because that's basically what it looks like how it's spelled.
Coleslaw. We'll just call them the Coleslaw family. There you go. So Marty, you brought up a good point there when you were talking about the fact that he's got like love and respect for his sister. You know, there's right at the beginning, there's that one scene where his friend dangles the snake out of the tree and she ruins her Sunday dress, and he feels bad. But then, you know, talking a little bit later to them, you know, they really do look out for each other. Even when she's in the thick of it going, you're full of shit, she still does things to help him out when it comes to, you know, investigating in the town. Like, she might not believe what the hell's going on, but she loves him enough that she's willing to waste her time just to prove him wrong or to help him out mentally with what's going on.
Sure.
Did we switch characters all of a sudden?
No. Just talking about their relationship, but yeah, let's switch characters.
Adam, I'm just
shut up, Tim.
I'm just teasing, but just teasing.
He even gave her, you know, $1.40 to go downtown and buy some more hose.
Get some more hose. There's some cheap ass hose, man.
85, man. Back in '85, yeah. He gave her too much,
right?
Yeah. It's like it only costs like $1 or
buck
something.
A hoe.
For some
$1
hose.
hoe.
Some hose, yeah.
Sunday hose.
Wow.
The hose.
All right, well let's talk about the sister and the dirty hose for a second. So, The sister herself. Now, this was actually kind of interesting because I remember going back and watching the movie, when we were getting ready to do this review, and said, I remember the sister from something else, very specific.
Anne of Green Gables?
Anne from Anne of Green Gables.
Jeez. Megan Follows? I totally had a crush on her when I was a kid. Totally.
I can see that.
Totally.
You're like, she's a ginger. She understands me.
No. I don't see Adam. Unlike you,
I don't see color. She gets me.
I don't see color.
Funny, Tim. Funny story here. When I was 17 or just going on 18, I got a job at the Atlantic Theater Festival in Wolfville, and basically I was doing like the usher thing. But then I told people, I was like, I'm interested in getting into special effects makeup. That's what I'm going to go to school for. So the wig master had got hold of this information, and she said, well, do you want to come and help me? Just to get some experience out back of a theater production. Pretty good theater production, too. Well, the first person I got to help put a wig on was Megan Follows.
No way.
Right off.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I can see the envy.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Yeah.
Well, what was the production?
She Stoops to Conquer, I think it's called. Shakespearean, right?
Nice. Shakespearean theater.
It was a good show.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
See, there's always a connecting story here. This is great. So Tim had a crush on her. Aaron actually got to meet her. Jealousy ensues.
I got the picture right here. Right there.
This is the hand.
I touched my
Next
hair.
time when Tim actually meets you, Tim will be like, which hand? With first thing out of his mouth. Can I touch the hand? All right. And moving on. So, I started to talk about the actual sister character herself. Jane. Yes, Jane Coleslaw. That's right.
Yep,
Jane Coleslaw.
Jane Coleslaw.
So she really does play once again, she plays a good sister character. She is compassionate and loving towards her brother, and it isn't just once again because of his disability. So this is a big theme that we got to keep coming back to here for a minute, because it's true with all the characters. Nobody truly treats him like he's below them or anything else, which is proper, because he doesn't emote anything about his disabilities in the movie, and everybody else doesn't push on that either. This is just a loving family relationship that we have going on here. And it's kind of funny, though, because, just the dynamic with the characters it's great. In fact, the least loving of the characters I find are the actual parents.
Yeah, his mom's kind of a
she's
bitch.
kind of weird, isn't she? But
I think the mom babies him like crazy and gives him everything he wants. That's the impression I got from what the sister was.
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't like how she treated Uncle Red.
no.
But Uncle Red was
he's a
drunk.
shitty alcoholic who's gone through 4 wives and pops into his house every 4 months and squats for a bit.
You know what?
Gets drunk in front of her son, tells him to do bad stuff, gives him electric wheelchairs, gas powered, 200 kilometers an hour. Tim,
I wish I had.
not a great influence.
I wish I had Uncle Red.
Yeah.
Teaching him how to gamble.
Teaching him how to gamble.
Yep.
Yeah. Giving him illegal fireworks to set off in the middle of the night.
Blow
Hey,
your
those
hand
fireworks
off.
saved his
They
life.
did.
Yeah, but if he didn't go out to light them, he wouldn't need them. Tim.
What are we even talking about? Why
Semantics!
Yeah.
All right. Well,
There's a werewolf in this
somewhere.
movie
Okay, let's skip to Uncle Red here for a second, because we're obviously,
Oh, thank God. The only good character in this whole fucking movie. Gary fucking Busey.
Abuse.
the Busey. The Busey.
Buse
Well,
man.
fucking Josh, talk about Uncle Red then, if you got so much love.
What do you need to say? He is the perfect uncle. He's the uncle every kid wanted. He rolls in with the smokes. He rolls in. He's got the booze. He's teaching you how to gamble. He's giving you electric chairs, motor vehicle operations. He is the man.
Wow. Only pro.
Why are you getting?
Only
on.
problem
Go
I have
ahead.
with this
Keep going.
character is that I don't like Gary Busey. This is the only role I've ever appreciated him in.
You are sick. You are a sick, sick man.
Now you have to explain it.
What?
Yeah.
The only people that don't like Gary Busey are mentally disturbed in the mind. That's like saying you don't like cotton candy, puppies, and flowers.
Testify.
Testify. I'm getting it from all angles, as usual. Okay. Oh, wow.
You can't say something
Gary Busey is
controversial
a
like
natural
that.
treasure.
Yeah,
All
really.
right.
What's
Fine.
the deal here? Come on, Adam. Spill
What's
the
your
I've
beef
just,
with
I've,
Busey?
I've never
Yeah.
taken to his.
Oh, he's too lovable? Fuck, that's rough.
All right, jerkwad, listen up. I've just never taken to his acting style and his comedic timing in his movies. None of them have ever sat well with me. Like, you know, when what is it? Not Stakeout, 48 Hours. He was in 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy. I love Eddie Murphy, don't like Gary Busey. So the movie itself, I don't like the movie. It's just the way that it is. I could never get behind it.
What did he do to you?
Do I really have to?
Exactly. What a son.
What did Gary
son?
do?
What did Gary Busey do? I'm not the biggest Gary Busey fan either. But I don't hate
Well, I
him.
didn't say that I hate him.
I
I
love
just
him.
don't like him as
That's
an
not
actor.
even his acting style. He's insane. That's how he is in real life, I think. I don't think that's an acting style or a choice.
He
a
just
creative
shows
choice.
up. He just
I think
shows
he's
up.
just nuts.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
agree.
So-
I agree. Yeah. What about his son there, Adam? You carrying
No,
it through the genes
I like Jake
there, are ya?
Busey. I like
Hey,
Jake Busey.
Jake?
Oh, okay.
Frighteners, Starship
Star-
Troopers.
Starship-
That motherfucker's good. I like him. But I don't know,
Yeah.
just something about his father I've never been able to stand. I don't know.
What about the one? What is it that they played, The Fugitive or something like that, with Martin Short?
What?
There's one with Gary Busey.
Fugitive.
The Fugitive. No, not The Fugitive.
That was Harrison Ford.
No, they had a kid. They had a kid. And it wasn't their kid. I think they kidnapped the kid, or something had gone wrong. It was this botched thing, and Gary Busey was in it. I'll Google search it. Anyway, that is a good movie, so that would change your mind.
She's gonna find it.
I will.
Is there a movie where they kidnap Gary Busey? 'Cause that'd be funny.
Love that one.
I remember. I know what you're talking about, Jamie. I can't remember the name of it.
Gary Busey pops right up. Movies.
But this character that he plays in this movie is on point. This is the perfect uncle that every kid wanted.
This is
He
his
let you
perfect
stay up
role.
late.
Right. It's perfect role.
Yeah, and his crass nature actually, this is why I said this is the thing that I like him in, because his crass nature and his acting for this is on point. Like, he's got a real I don't give a shit but loving attitude all in the same breath. Like, it's great.
Yeah, I agree. I have to mention to you guys, this is the movie that got me into makeup effects, by the way.
No
do
way.
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
What?
Well, you know
It's
what? You guys heard if you tuned in like yesterday or what the other live broadcast that we had there. I made reference to going to school, private school and stuff, growing up there. Well, it was my last year in private school, and I had a next door neighbor. His name was Grant, and calls me up one day. He's like, "Hey man, same age as me, right? You want to come over and watch a movie?" It's like, "Yeah, right on." So I head right over, and he's like, "No, this is a little bit of a scary movie." You know, I'm like 13 years old at the time. I'm like, "Okay, never seen anything freaky, you know, along the lines of like blood, gore, or anything like that." So I'm sitting down in the basement with everybody, including his parents, and the woman gets ripped up on the bed, and she's bleeding off the bed there. Kind of the first introduction to the wolf coming in and tearing her up. She's trying to commit suicide, and then she doesn't have to. She gets ripped all apart. Well, that part right there scarred me for life, because I'd never seen anything like this on a film. Like, I was so young, 13, but I was in that biodome I was telling you about, right?
Right.
So I literally had to get his parents to call my parents next door so that they would come across the grass to pick me up, because I wouldn't walk home. And I vowed from that day forward that I wanted to learn how to do this stuff to make it look.
To terrorize other little 13-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So this was the movie that pushed me to that kind of thing, right?
Awesome.
First one that terrified me.
Love it. Love it.
Another little.
And it was called The Three Fugitives. The
The
movie.
Three Fugitives.
Three.
Three Garys.
The three Garys. Frig off, Josh.
Have you guys seen it? You haven't seen that movie? It's on Netflix.
I think I have.
Three Fugitives. It's
Okay,
good.
fine.
That's your homework.
That'll be my homework. I'm gonna have to try to change my tune on Gary fucking
And then
Busey.
we want to report on why Gary Busey is good.
He's awesome.
900 words.
Double spaced.
No. All right, moving on.
Get your kids to do it. They got a homeschool.
Yeah, they are doing the homeschool right now, so that's enough. Okay, fine.
I want a book report on Gary Busey.
I'm finding it hard to fucking focus not on Adam's super fiery red beard right now. The way the light's coming in. It's the orangest thing I've ever seen.
Like the Eye of Mordor.
Yes, the Eye of Mordor.
I can't stop staring at it.
I'm sorry. I can't do it.
And then we've got the
Reverend Lowe.
Who, surprise, he's a werewolf.
Well, yeah, let's talk about the Reverend here for a minute, because I actually think that his reasoning behind the way that he kills people was fucking ingenious for his character. When he comes out and starts talking about why he killed people, like the woman on the bed, well, she was going to commit suicide. We all know that in the church, you commit suicide. That's the greatest sin. You don't go to heaven. So what did I do? I saved her soul by killing her. That's actually...
And what did the little guy in the wheelchair do? What was his great sin?
Oh, he shot him. So he was just going to be pissed off and kill him. He shot him with the damn firework, man. What are you talking about? Oh, and he was up past his bedtime, and he was shooting fireworks.
Oh, yes. I remember that in the Ten Commandments.
Sin.
Yeah, I remember that in the Ten Commandments, Josh says. Thou shalt not set off fireworks past thy bedtime?
Past 7:30.
Speaking of that, did you see how close he was to those fireworks that he was lighting off? He was like a foot away.
Yep.
Anybody else concerned for his
Absolutely.
well-being?
You know who wasn't concerned? Gary fucking Busey.
That's it.
Well, he was concerned because he was like, if your mother catches you, then I had nothing to do with this, basically.
And didn't he give him explicit rules saying to do it by the house?
He did.
Yeah, but he did do it at a lake.
I
think that took some...
I think this little kid's a piece of shit. You got Uncle Gary dropping off fireworks. He's like, listen, these fireworks are probably illegal. You're a little kid. You probably shouldn't have fireworks. Just light them off in the yard. What's he do? Immediately gets up out of bed, 10 o'clock at night, shimmies down the rafters with his fucking no-lag operationals, and he's just climbing down, jumping in his little rocket mobile, flying down to the Lyris Lake and shooting out fireworks with werewolves.
Pissing off the local
Gary said
reverend.
to do it all. Right?
In the middle of the night.
Can we just say that this Everett McGill, the actor who played Reverend Lowe, looked like a werewolf? Like, if someone was going to be a werewolf, like this fucking guy...
He's that neighbor everybody's had to be like, I swear he's a monster.
Yeah. He had that huge brow bone, man. Like, the fucking brow bone was just... He was already half turned.
He was already half turned.
Yeah, he was.
And he's got those fucking teeth too, man. Even they're right flat looking teeth, but and his actual like his fang teeth are very pronounced when he smiles in the movie, and it's like it is kind of weird. Yeah. It is kind of weird, yeah.
No, it was they picked a good. He had a very interesting look.
Any other characters worth talking about?
The sheriff, Terry O'Quinn from Lost. That's the only other person I recognized.
Yeah, I don't even...
Why are the police force always so useless in horror movies?
Yeah, what I thought was funny was that fucking guy in the bar picking a fight with
the deputy all the time.
It's but he's a cop. Are you an idiot? Like, you're picking a fight with a cop.
Town stuff, man. That's small town stuff.
It is small rinky-dink town. That's how it is.
Have you guys ever seen Porky's?
Aww.
Cops are useful there.
Girl after my heart, Porky's. One of my favorite series, right there.
Paid off Porky, right?
Yep.
Porky paid off the
Ain't
deputy.
nothing wrong with this car, boss.
I think that they were brothers from other mothers.
How did we get onto Porky's? I didn't think in a million years we'd be on Porky.
I don't stay on topic well,
That's quite
sorry.
all right. If you've ever seen our show, we
Oh,
normally
boy.
don't either. So, yeah.
Corey
All
Feldman
right.
killed him.
All right. So we've talked about the characters that we really want to talk about. Let's talk about effects work here for a minute, because this movie, I mean, we're pre-CGI at this point still. Like, we've already talked about, American Werewolf in London and a whole bunch of other of our classic movies. This is still pre-CGI. And while the werewolf itself is not as beastly, I want to say, as the werewolf in American Werewolf in London when it's full change, you've still got some great transformations and some general effects work and the making of a monster in this movie. It's I mean, Jamie, Aaron, comment.
Oh, I totally agree. Years ago when I first saw this, I was like, man, that wolf is terrible, right? I couldn't get my head around it, right?
You
After
thought that
everything
years ago?
Yeah,
You
but
almost pissed your pants and had to get your parents to
I know,
come
and
pick
that's
you
just
up.
it, right? Like this, I never saw the beast right up front. It was just like hands with the claws and everything going. And then I saw the beast, and it was like, okay. But after just watching it again and absorbing everything that you see for effects, and it did remind me a lot of American Werewolf in London and stuff, and you know what I mean? Like some of the transitions where the things are growing and expanding and the hair is disappearing, and I mean that's pretty cool. And from back then, that's some pretty cool effects that they did during this shoot.
Well, they at the end they straight up copied one of the effects with the whole hair being sucked in, like it was. I thought they just stole it. Like,
Yeah.
it was
Well, they
exactly
did,
the same.
definitely.
Yeah, they probably did.
Well, I don't know if they should have just stuck, prosthetics and things, because just as he was turning into the wolf, there was one stage there where he was really vicious looking and really wolf looking, but then they changed to this, this almost looked like to me, kind of like a teddy bear.
Yeah.
Oh, that was vicious, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I know the effects back then, 95% of the effects in it were absolutely fantastic. It's just picking it apart a little bit. These days, you see one of the Lycans from Underworld or something like that in that role. Wow. Right? I think they could really remake this, but keep it practical.
And not CG.
Keep it practical for sure, right? And, only do the VFX when you really need to. And I think it would be really, really fucking cool.
Well, this story is basically set up for a Netflix series. Like, each chapter is basically a month of, one or two incidents that happen. You know what I mean? And there's an episode, and then you can do another month, and there's another episode. And yeah, I was saying this when I was watching it the other day. Like, they should absolutely remake this and do a fucking show.
I agree.
It'd be really cool.
I preach this a lot, but this is definitely one of those movies with the effects that you don't want to watch in 4K.
Right.
No.
Exactly. It, as crazy as this might sound, it may even make a good theatrical production.
Yeah.
I think you could switch that over to a pretty cool theatrical version.
And make it a musical?
Fairly, yeah. Not necessarily a musical, no. But
Silver Bullet the musical.
The werewolf singing as he's beating the guy to death with his own baseball bat.
Gary Busey solo.
Gary Busey solo. There'd just be a lot of incoherent screaming, Tim. Like, what?
Greetings from Tromaville. I'm Lloyd Kaufman, president of Troma Entertainment and creator of The Toxic Avenger. You know, folks, when we're not making those great movies like Tromeo and Juliet and Return to Nukamai, a.k.a. Volume 2, the Troma team and I like to kick back and listen to They Cast from the Coast. They Cast from the Coast is really the best entertainment, the best education, and the best emotional liberation that Lloyd Kaufman can possibly experience. Thank you.
far as the werewolf, I have some trivia on that I'll say later about it. But I felt that the werewolf itself worked best when it was like in the shadows and shit. Like
Absolutely.
at the end when Jane looks out the window and he's just right there looking, I was like, what? But then when he's in the living room, I'm like, oh, what?
Yeah,
Right?
And every shot, they were so proud of the hands they made for this werewolf, and they were so bad. But they were so proud of it. They used that scene like 8 times in the movie where they showed it shitty hands. It looked like fucking gorillas.
Again, I have trivia. I have trivia. Why?
They could have done that movie without even showing the wolf, really. It would have been one of those, what does this creature look like? And then have something really violent at the very end, maybe just the fur moving or whatever, and you still would have had people's attention. I think.
Going.
Yeah. But I mean, you kind of had to see it if you were showing like a body reversing back, to a human form.
But see, this is a movie that I feel that the Monster Squad paid homage to this werewolf a little bit too, because like the way that the face is structured and stuff like this, it seems very similar. But Monster Squad did it, in my opinion, better by keeping him like in tattered clothing. Because in this one, there's a couple of quick scenes where you see him in the living room at the end where he's attacking, and it's like straight up fucking gorilla suit looking. Right? But in Monster Squad, it was amazingly tasteful done with the body hair and the suit that they had under the clothing and stuff. So,
but to be fair, the werewolf from the book looked like the one in the movie. I'm just trying to find the picture of it. I don't know how well that's going to show up on the thing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a bear.
Yeah.
A bear
more
wolf.
A bear than a wolf, but yeah.
Bear wolf.
A bear wolf.
All right, Adam, that's the only joke you get tonight. Shut up.
I know that the makeup takes, I don't want to shit on something like back in, 85 or whatever. I mean, jeepers.
Yeah, it was
So
good.
for them to come up with that, like that's pretty fucking cool, right? So I'm not like I don't want to shit on it. It was the early years of makeup effects and the minimal amount of people that were actually doing it and doing it well. So yeah, it's not a shit on.
Not at all. And let's face it, werewolves from a practical standpoint are difficult as fuck to pull off.
Oh, definitely.
Any animated dog in any way, shape, or form is just, it goes from cool to like super cheesy, like that.
Exactly. It's a difficult thing to get right. And Tim brought this up when we were talking about American Werewolf in London and Paris and everything else. One of the best things you can do is, less is more when it comes to this. And he was talking about this earlier too, right? It's absolutely, it doesn't necessarily entirely have to do with what the whole thing looks like. It's how it's presented on the screen. There are artistic and better ways to show it without, kind of making everybody go, oh,
Well, I mean, when we were talking about American Werewolf in London, one of the scariest scenes was the subway scene.
Oh, yes.
Where it shows the guy up at the top of the steps, and you just see the wolf come in out of focus all the way down at the bottom of the steps. That was fucking terrifying. But if that was clear and up close, it would have been lame, right?
Yeah.
But how they shot it, it was creepy as hell.
I agree. I totally agree.
You got to
100%.
play off of imagination.
And they did that in some degree in this. Oh, because you saw a hand, you saw some claws or whatever, and they kept it. What you kept wondering what you were gonna, So and then they finally revealed it, and it was, to me, it was just a little bit of a. I mean, I didn't even make it to the very end because I got escorted home, right? But the second time I watched it was only a few years ago. I made it through, right? I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Nice.
But I thought the gore in this was okay. It wasn't crazy.
There was a lot of off-screen.
Yeah. But the makeup that they did for the Reverend's eye wound, I was like, yeah, that looks pretty good.
I agree. That actually looked pretty good.
Like, it didn't look like a prosthetic over his eye. Like, it actually had like some depth and.
Yeah, I think that's one of those big brow bones. I think when they were casting him, that's what they probably were thinking about. We're going to have an eye removed. And if we can get somebody that's got, the brow bone forward a little bit, it'll look that much better, right?
Mm.
They probably darkened around it a little bit. Just
Call. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with his acting, just his brow.
The acting was a bonus because he pulled it off. So
Yep.
Casting directors, I'm telling you, they're geniuses.
Some smart
right?
people.
They can see. Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to hear from Josh about his notes.
Ooh,
All right, time for Josh to tell us because he's never seen Silver Bullet. This is his first time. So, Josh, please proceed.
Okay, let's just get everyone in the mood here to set the scene. First viewing of Silver Bullet, April 7th, 2020, at 7:55 p.m. First thing I noticed, it's a Stephen King movie. So I was like, all right, we're getting into a good movie here. At least we got some solid story to fall back on. And then what do I see? Boom, Corey Haim. I was like, all right, awesome. Then what happens? Boom, Gary Busey. I'm like, all right, I'm excited. Stephen King, Corey Haim, Gary Busey.
You think you're excited? Check out these nipples.
Here we go. Right? Okay, first note I took, it's in the 70s, and there's a drunk driver off to a good start. He's definitely going to die. Whoa, his head got swiped clean off. How the fuck could this be an accident? The whole town's like, oh, he's a drunk. It was an accident. It's like his body is mauled to death and his head is decapitated like 6 feet away from the train tracks. But it was an accident.
If I remember correctly, that was a good fake looking head too.
It was a very good looking.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it was.
Actually, it was well done.
Yeah.
And it just flew right by. It was only on screen for a couple seconds, so it's good. The main character is in a wheelchair. ... All I can think of is Mac and Me. This movie is going to be held up to Mac and Me the entire time. Whenever I see a male young protagonist in a wheelchair, all I can think of is Mac and Me. Now I have to watch a movie and think about Mac and Me, knowing that Gary Busey and Corey Haim are going to be in this movie. When booger is the worst insult you have, you know you're living in small town America. His sister continued to call him a booger like 6 times. And then I wrote, this family is straight up driving the Griswold mobile with a little wagon for their son's chair. Isn't this film about werewolves? How's a 10-year-old in a wheelchair going to do shit all against a werewolf? And then we introduced the werewolf. I said, what the fuck? The werewolf has monkey hands. They legitimately look like gloves from like a gorilla suit. Ah, yes. My daughter has been ripped apart and left on the bed. It must have been an accident. The Peacemaker bat. This prop is probably my favorite prop in the movie. Every time this came on scene, it just made me want to get a replica.
True.
Oh, the chair is named Silver Bullet. Excellent.
You can almost see him cluing in at this point. Oh!
Right? Yeah. Neat. Another thing I like to do is write down quotes that amuse me. And this one is just, Tammy!
Oh, the father? Yeah.
Yeah. Tammy! And then he said, I'd electrocute them all. That will balance the damn budget. It's like, I don't think you know how economics work there, good sir.
And he was wishing this on a poor little crippled kid. What an asshole. I'm glad he died.
Yeah. Gary Busey is his uncle. Excellent. And another quote. That hurts my parts. Quote. And yet another excellent quote. This was probably my favorite. You bust up my pots, I'm gonna bust up your ass. And then I came to the realization, why does this greenhouse just full of random ferns? There's no vegetables, there's no fruit, there's no flowers. It's just ferns.
That shit was popular.
Why do they have this giant, just shitty ferns?
Overgrown, too. It's like the whole place.
Yeah. It was like the worst greenhouse. Buddy puts up Remington shotguns for sale in his shop window. It's a quality product. That's what Ash uses, a double barrel Remington. How the fuck did the cripple kid climb a tree? And wait, didn't his mother just tell us that her son couldn't climb a tree to stop you from getting the snake put on you. She legitimately says it's not like he could climb the tree to help you. And yeah, actually he could.
I think that was just to prove that his mother doesn't know him.
You think?
Yeah. Yep.
Good call.
Good call indeed. Oh
Yep.
my fuck yes. Gary pulls out his flask at a funeral. This is exactly what I want from Gary Busey in a movie. Gary explains psychopaths to the boy when Gary is in fact a psychopath in real life. The werewolf didn't stand a chance. There's like 40 gun-toting rednecks after it. They make a point to name each redneck in the swamp scene. Jack, Bob, Jimmy, John, Andy, Edgar. If you notice, after every line, it's just like, yeah, get him, John. Okay, Edgar. Yeah, I looked over here, Jack. Nothing yet, Johnny. You're gonna make lemonade in your pants. Quote.
Oh yeah, the old lady said that. Yeah.
He's got the peacemaker. The werewolf took the fucking bat and now he's wailing him with it. I wrote great effects on the church wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wrote the fucking vampire, the fucking werewolf playing the organ. Oh my god. You're gonna let a couple of murderers cancel the fireworks? Weak move, town. Weak move. All the smart folks are ditching town. Again, they're probably just going to end up in Derry or somewhere else in Maine with something horrible happening. And then this is another really good quote. The boy in the wheelchair talks about his sister, so running around like no one's ever had tits before.
That was a great quote.
Running around like no one's ever had tits before. No fucking way. That's the Cadillac of electric wheelchairs. Gary is the best uncle, period. I wrote, fuck off. This kid can climb better than me, and his legs don't even fucking work. Oh my god, he hit him in the eye with a firework. They're telling it to the sister's side. They're telling the story from the side of the sister. The main character better fucking die. I said, it's the Reverend, exclamation point. Man, every time I see the Peacemaker in this movie, I just want it. And enter another favorite trope of mine. The kid knows and tries to tell people, but the adults don't believe.
You're just a stupid kid.
The eye patch makes the Reverend way more badass.
That eye patch did make him badass.
It did. He looked like a Bond villain.
Yeah. But he's talking about God. Like,
nailed that. Bond villain for sure.
Yeah.
Playing it up like he's doing the God's work. What did all the other poor bastards in the swamp do that deserved this? I said the bat is back. The transformation is cheesy, but at least it's practical. As the moon gets fuller, he gets wolfier.
He gets wolfier.
Excellent dialogue, folks. Kids today will never know about the TV ending after the national anthem at 10 o'clock.
True.
The amount of furniture that has been destroyed in the name of horror really is something to think about. In the eye, really? And then I wrote, great death effects, a final jump scare. I don't think I can walk. ... What a cheeky little
I can't feel my legs. I don't think I can walk. Yeah. Oh, bastard.
And then I wrote, bullshit happy ending. Boo. And those are my notes.
That should be a synopsis right there.
Right?
Yeah.
My final wrap up takes place in a small town with minimum locations. Felt the need to give every dickweed in town a name. Lots of practical effects, even if some of them aren't the greatest. I'm looking at you, mannequin in the foggy swamp. Kept the rules pretty basic. Silver bullets kill them, and that's what they did. Acting overall was pretty meh, but Gary Busey was the best, and that's not saying much for the other staff. For the other actors. I can see how someone who watched this when they were young could have a lot of love for it, but I found it pretty lackluster overall when compared to some of the other werewolf movies. I'd give it a G normally, but out of respect for my main man King, and even for Gary, I'll bump it up to a PG.
Wait, did you just give your official review on that?
Yep.
And rating? Like, are you going to log off now?
Josh is like, screw you guys, drop the mic, I'm gone.
Peace.
All right, so at least we know what Josh is giving this. Josh is giving this a PG. So, okay, Tim, trivia time with Tim.
Back in '85, what would you give it though?
Hmm?
Back in '85, what would you give it? Like, what did it actually get for a rating? Was it R? It had to be R. It was.
Yeah,
It was nudity.
it was rated R back then, and it's like rated 18 now or something like this. And it has a score of 6.4 on IMDb.
Oh, did we not tell?
I don't think he knows
Nope.
what the rating system.
I'm going to talk
our
about the rating
system.
system when we come to actually rate the movie.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay, Tim, trivia time with Tim.
What?
Trivia time with Tim.
Yes. Well, the first big piece of trivia, shooting the majority of the fucking movie was shot without a werewolf suit done. So that's why we got hands and they didn't finish it because one of the producers was very Dino De Laurentiis. Thank you. He was very unhappy with the werewolf suit at the beginning of the movie and told them to reshoot it and make a new one. And then Stephen King showed up and said it looks like shit. So that's why the majority of the movie you don't see the werewolf. And then they went back and they reshot it with the suit. A couple of those shots. So that's why, Josh. They kept using the hand. Because every time you said that, I was like, no, that's the only fucking prop they had.
I totally. I mean, that's the way that I look at it. Like, it just looked unfinished. It just didn't look right.
Yeah.
Right.
As I said at the beginning, this movie is loosely based on Stephen King's book from 1983, Cycle of the Werewolf. And it's one of the few Stephen King books that not only did he do the screenplay for, but the turnaround time of when it was published to when it was made into a film was literally not even 8 months. Like, it came out and then they're like, we're making this a movie. Like, immediately.
Better than our life.
It's so true.
We're not
I don't. Oh, okay. So this is kind of a long piece of trivia. Stephen King asked that the werewolf be plain and hard to see, hidden in shadows, contrast to the hulking monsters seen in other werewolf films and books. He didn't want his werewolf to be compared to American Werewolf in London. Very fair. That's why he took on more of a black bear appearance than anything else. Not really having any identifying characteristics. And after seeing the original design, it literally looked like a bear. And they were like, nope, redo it, because I guess it had a very short snout. It looked like a teddy bear. So, yeah, that makes absolute sense. And they demanded that it be remade. They ended up having to spend more money. And that suffered when they went to promote the film because all the money went to making a new werewolf suit. And I guess the posters that came out sucked. And no one knew about this movie, and it didn't do very good in theaters because of that. So, yeah, Josh, that's why they reused the fucking hand.
Because it seemed excessive. Just watching it, I'm like, man, some prop master is so proud of this hand he put together, and he really shouldn't be.
One thing that Stephen King never really elaborated on, the werewolf kills people but doesn't eat them, which is kind of weird.
Well, I guess when you're looking back at it, that makes sense.
But I guess it also makes sense because you brought up a very good point that he was killing sinners or people that would have
to save them from sinning and going to hell.
Yeah. So why would he eat
How did
them?
he become a werewolf? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I always, because it doesn't really say in the book either. Like, he's there in the city. And,
Interestingly enough, I felt that I'm in the same boat. I felt that if they would have explained something, they wouldn't have gotten down to the nitty gritty. He would have claimed some sort of a gift of God to allow him to do what he was doing, because that's the mindset he was under, for this. So, continue to.
See, I lost my fucking place now. Thanks, Al. The fireworks on the bridge scene were filmed in 2 separate locations, months apart. After principal photography was completed in the fall of '84, they discovered a continuity problem. The wide shots and close-ups of Marty lighting the fireworks didn't match. He had a jacket on in one of them, and then the seconds later he had no jacket on. So they had to return 4 months later to redo these scenes, and due to the seasonal change, much of the foliage of trees, they've lost their leaves, so they basically had to do these pickup shots with people behind him holding fake branches with green leaves on them.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's hilarious. The amount of care that went into this movie, it's amazing.
There were a couple scenes where the kid's haircut changed from scene some cut to cut.
Yeah.
He's got almost a mullet going, and then he's got a bowl cut.
One more. The complete construction of the werewolf costume took 3 months. After finalization, the shape and design using 3-dimensional clay heads, the entire costume was made of foam and polyurethane and was covered with actual bear fur. The head of the costume was mechanically operated by 6 people from a distance of up to 30 feet away.
Wow.
Trivia time with Tim.
That took a long time to build that suit.
Yeah.
Well, they had one made, and then they had to remake it.
And they got paid for all that, most likely, as well, because they're not going to come forward and say, well, this is what you want to design. This is what you want to design. That's what we did for you. I've run into that. I sculpted how they give me a picture, and they don't like the sculpt. It's, well, look at your picture. It's exactly the same as that. Yeah. So
that's right.
Yeah, you got to really to people when you're doing art and really get into their brain, right? Yeah. Trying to see what they're all about.
That's right. So now judgment time for this movie. We already know what Josh is judging the movie. PG, pretty good.
You know what? Fuck that. We're gonna get him.
He's gonna do it again.
Oh,
that's
definitely.
Fine. So, reviewing the judgment system here for a moment, what we'll do is we'll have a little bit of a round table, give your final thoughts on the movie, what you liked about the movie, what you didn't like about the movie, kind of your general review of the movie as a whole. And the rating system is as follows. Much the same as ratings for a movie. We've got the movie's rated S for shit, G for good, PG for pretty good.
G can also be rated G for garbage, depending on
we
where
haven't
verified that yet.
That's
it's just good
right now.
There's been some garbage ratings, but
rated R for recommended. This is a movie that you recommend everybody watch, and then X for excellent. All right, so S, G, P, G, R, and X. So just kind of think about it in that way, and S for shit, X for excellent. Those are your 2 on the high and low. So we're going to start with Josh. Get your shit over with.
In all fairness, this movie deserves to be a G for good. But because you got Gary Busey, because it's a Stephen King movie, because it follows enough of Josh's horror rules, we bump it up to PG.
A man of few words, straight to the fucking point. Okay. And we're gonna split up the Peerless group here, and I'm gonna say Aaron.
You know what? Because this pushed me into what I'm doing today, and I love what I'm doing today. I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give it a step up a little bit. I'm gonna give it an R, and that's because of what it did for me, and what it didn't do for me back then as well. But you know what? I think all around the acting was really good. Loved Gary Busey's character, cast him absolutely perfect. The wolf/bear suit really needed to be rectified. quite a bit more. But the growing scenes of the different parts and all the other makeup that was in that was absolutely for 85. I think it was absolutely fantastic. So that's why I'm giving it that.
Nice. We're good.
Nice.
Tim.
Yeah.
So this was one of the first Stephen King books that I read when I got into Stephen King. Was Cycle the Werewolf. I saw it. I was like, oh, this, because most of his books, especially to a young teen, they're kind of intimidating because a lot of them are like over 1,000 pages. This is literally under 200. I was like, cool, sold. And then I found out that they made a movie of it called something completely different. So, anyways, I liked it. It's not the best werewolf movie, but it's pretty good. And that's the rating I'm going to give it. It's pretty good. The special effects were great. Especially the very mood ones where he was like hiding in the shadows and shit. The stuff's still creepy. I watched it yesterday or the day before, and I was like, damn, that's cool. But when it's like full out in the open, meh. The acting wasn't bad. Gary Busey was great. Corey Haim was pretty good. And because I had a crush on Megan Follows, she was pretty good too. I like it. It was a fun little Stephen King movie from 1985. Pretty good.
Jamie.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet. It was pretty good. I love Stephen King. I love Corey Haim. I love Gary Busey. Megan Follows. It was all good.
Pretty good. Okay. All right. So to close this off, my thoughts on the movie. This, in my opinion, is a pinnacle werewolf movie, though, because really there are only a handful of werewolf movies that exist out there that people can actually say are worth your time. Let's be honest about it. And this movie does sit in that bucket. It really does. And it's pre-CGI, so it's all practical when you're looking at it in the effects. It does have some gore, but it doesn't overdo it. Yeah, the monster could have been retooled a little bit better, but it does follow for the majority of the movie the artistic value of less is more. So quick shots and hiding in the bushes and close-ups and everything else. The acting really sells this movie for me, though. This is, as I admit, I'm not a huge Gary Busey fan, but this movie, he sells me. He really does, make it an enjoyable flick for me. So mix that with the classic Corey Haim and Megan Follows, and the movie just kind of, it sits well. This is the Stand By Me of werewolf movies. This is the Goonies of werewolf movies. This sits in that kind of bucket with the Monster Squad and Goonies and Stand By Me for me. It's all about the kids having to fix the situation and figure out what's going on because none of the adults believe them, and it's an adventure on its own. And that's where it really appeals to me. And, especially growing up in the 80s and having seen this movie in the day, it's not one of those situations where I can say I'm looking back on it with rose-colored glasses, but it still holds up, and it was really good. And especially hearing Josh look at this movie in a new light, it reaffirms a lot of what I think about the movie to begin with. So I'm actually kind of put this, because of where I sit it in the bucket of werewolf movies and kids in danger horror flicks, I'm going to actually sit this up at an R. This is a movie that I recommend that anybody who wants to watch a werewolf movie should put it on their list. Recommended.
I, for one, am surprised.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised too. And
yeah, excellent. So we have it. We have PG, R, PG, and R. So we're doing good. So, all right, everybody. So wanted to take a moment and thank very much Aaron and Jamie Peerless for joining us on the show this episode, and we enjoyed thoroughly having you here, and we look forward to more episodes and bringing you on, and getting maybe another roundtable episode where we can talk a little bit more with Jamie directly about her art, which is absolutely amazing. Check her out, everybody. And just thanks everybody for tuning in. So this has been a new episode. So please, check us out on Facebook. Like and share the Facebook page, The Misunderstood Art Company. Join us in the discussion group that we have. Go on to YouTube. Like and share and subscribe to the channel. Share the videos out and comment. Tell us what you like about the show, what you want to see different from the show. Tell us what you want to see us review on the show. And did you know that we're on Patreon, by the way? Because if that's the case, do us a favor. Open up your hearts and your wallets and join the Patreon club for They Cast on the Coast and support us for creating content like this. Check us out on all of the major podcasting platforms that we actually produce the show for. Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. And until next time, Tim.
Stay spooky and wash your hands.
Josh.
Jesse.
I just wanted to thank Theron for coming on here and telling us the story about how he made lemonade in his pants when he watched A Silver Bullet for the first time.
Lemonade in his pants.
Jamie?
I don't
Say
know
goodnight
what
to
I'm
everybody.
Say right now. Good night.
Aaron.
Welcome to the freak show. I mean, no, that's wrong. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you next time. Bye.
Good night.